A lot of people have been talking about the selenelion eclipse coming up on March 3rd. And the thing I want to point out about eclipses in general is that the narrative that we have been given about them is provably false and easily so. It's not a challenge to debunk. And the sad part about it is you're going to still see memes like this floating around where people are making fun of biblical cosmology. And you're about to see that even on our model, eclipses wouldn't look like this. There is a barrier up above us. There's a foundation. The lights in the sky are always up above us in the heavens, just like they were placed on day 4 of creation inside a structure that was made on day 2 of creation. But with that said, the current model necessitates a globe Earth, pressurized ball in a vacuum, passing between the sun and the moon, and the Earth casting a shadow on a ball that's about 250,000 miles away. And the pattern of light that usually goes in straight lines until there's an eclipse diverges to give us what we have in a pattern that looks eerily similar to some other imagery that we're not going to talk about now, but you guys get the picture. It is a model that has necessities. And what we see sometimes with these eclipses is that it does almost appear to match what they tell us, unless you actually get spheres and light and try to model it. And so when you do, things start to fall apart. But where they really fall apart the most is during these what they call impossible eclipses or selenelion eclipses, where the sun and moon are visible above the horizon at the same time, and there is still a shadow on the moon. Now, the refraction narrative used to save the day when I would look into this. However, I have found out that many people have captured this phenomenon where the sun and moon are both above the horizon, but the shadow is on top of the moon, where it should never be on their model. The shadow should be on the bottom, especially since the moon is dropping downwards from above when this has been filmed. It's not refracting upwards from below. The moon is setting, the sun is rising, and the shadow is still on top of the moon. This is something you can try to model. If you do not believe what we're saying, take a flashlight and two spherical objects and try to replicate this. Get the shadow to hop on top of the moon. It's not going to happen. And so when you look into this effect and why it doesn't happen, you're going to get imagery from these debunk websites that show you the refracted moon and the refracted sun doing their magical things at the same time, but they will not, cannot add the shadow on top in their imagery because it debunks their lie. And so the shadow being cast on the moon is something a lot of people ask about. What is it? Well, it doesn't have to be a solid object. We have lights in the firmament, other heavenly bodies up there moving, constantly in motion, except for when we see the sun and the moon standing still. With Joshua, we have lights in motion, and we see that it doesn't take solid objects to cast a shadow. But you can see that a barrier that's not opaque, it's actually transparent, can cast a shadow. And you would assume, since it's kind of a rainbow shape, that that's the shape it would maintain on this object. But right there looks a lot like a lunar eclipse. You can use a clear barrier to do this, and you still get some light cast back. Now, this is not to scale, and our barrier is completely covering the entire world, but you get the picture because you can do this with other objects. You can take the sun and the moon, or a light source and an object to represent the moon, and spread them out and recreate these selenelion eclipses, even using the surface of water passing between these objects. You do not even need a solid barrier. We know there's waters up above the firmament. We know it's multi-layered, and there's so many different things about it that we are still trying to figure out, but the current narrative is falling apart and it gets worse. This isn't the only aspect of eclipses that debunk the narrative. You also have an aspect that Dave Weiss points out here, where the longest eclipses take place in the north. Here is why that happens. Check this out. They start sooner in the north when you have the biblical earth model in action, and they start later in the south. But check this out. They finish sooner in the south, and they finish later in the north. The biblical earth model has answers for this. The globe earth model does not. And that, again, getting bad for the globe. But check this out. Back in the day, when a man was investigating Foucault pendulums, something we're told are rotating because the Earth is rotating. Come to find out, that's a lie. These things are manufactured with ring magnets and things that need to be calibrated when they don't rotate at the right speed. They're not recalibrating the Earth speed, but the Foucault pendulum not only failed at the South Pole, it went backwards when they did it there the first time. We have a man named Maurice Allais, Nobel Prize winner in economics. This guy observed that these pendulums rotate faster during eclipses, so much faster that they rotate about 13.5 degrees in 14 minutes compared to 15 degrees an hour. That is a major difference. Something that should not happen on the globe model. There should be no change in pendulum rotation if it's not these heavenly bodies moving that's causing them to be affected in the first place. We are stationary. It's the heavens that are in motion. When they change, it impacts life on Earth. It impacts tides. It impacts so many different things, and they were designed that way. We don't depend on a pressurized spinning ball covered with water that's sloshing around to impact our tides and everything and our weather. And the amount of proof we have is continuing to pile up. And so I wanted to share this so you guys will understand it's not the globe Earth shadow that's causing these lunar eclipses. It's easy to prove. You just have to take the time to look into it and even try to prove it yourself. Set up demonstrations. Don't take our words for it. And you guys can learn more about it if you're interested in taking earth science classes that put this stuff to the test. You can join us at creationstandard.com. We have two earth science classes, two life science classes, and we also have my brother doing a biblical history class that's separate from Creation Standard, but you guys can check that out as well. It has been a major blessing as our Father is waking up truth soldiers around the world to how easy it is to prove that His words are the truth. And so I wanted to share this with the eclipse coming up. I know you guys have a lot going on in the world. There's wars and talks of aliens and Epstein files and all these different things going on. But there's a reason there's so much chaos and calamity. It's by their design. And our Father is not the author of confusion. So don't be confused. Believe His words, and things will be simple and peaceful. And it'll bring back the joy to your life that only His presence can bring.